Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I highly recommend that you check them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our sponsor shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be very glad you did. Here we go. We want to thank our good friends at Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, go to snapraise.com and those days will be over. We use Snap at our school with our teams. Tremendous success. Coaches and parents all loved it because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com and their team is going to have you creating world-class social media content for your school in seconds. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a big win or an entire newsletter to showcase all the great things your program is doing, the team at Gipper will have you up and running in no time. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. Don't forget to mention the podcast. That's Gipper.com. We also want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform you'll use every day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is the best. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's all you got to do, homecampus.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. We want to thank our friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an AD, I made sure that we were a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com and join the 8 million users. Turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant AD, along with thousands of others, got his master's through the Ohio program, and it was a great experience, and it will be for you too. While you're earning your master's, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to show off your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame. And if you put one of these in your gym lobby, in your main school hallway, or anywhere, it's going to become a magnet for kids, for coaches, for your sponsors, for alums. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their great products today. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Hometown. Hometown is not just digital ticketing anymore. Hometown's changing the game for high schools and for organizations with their suite of solutions that do include digital ticketing. They also include fee-free fundraising, things like athletic website construction, and a whole lot more. Whether you're an athletic director, a coach, or an administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your community together. For more information, just go to hometown.com. As always, mention the website, mention the podcast. That's hometown.com. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Now, athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it comes from a small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that type of positive feedback is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. As always, mention the podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the Educational AD Podcast. We're going back in time, but we're also doing an update. Today's guest is Dawn Williamson. Dawn was episode number 369, a little over 2 years ago, when she had just taken the position for a few months for the Rockford Public School District, Rockford, Illinois. If you missed that interview, I encourage you to go back and listen to it again. Dawn has a tremendous background in athletics, a successful college athlete, coach. She's an athletic director at the college level. And as I mentioned, she's currently the director of athletics for the Rockford Public Schools. Dawn, welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's really exciting to be here.
Well, really enjoyed our visit. Again, it continues to get downloads. People obviously enjoyed what you had to share, and they're recommending it to their friends. But I thought it'd be cool to do an update. A couple of years on the job is certainly a big job. But as you know, we always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us that quick bio. Tell us your life story in 2 minutes. Maybe take us up through your own high school and college experience, then we'll take a break. But what's the Dawn Williams origin story?
Okay. Parents were really into sports. Interestingly, just because of the timing, my mom wasn't able to play sports in high school and everything, but still like super active and everything. Dad was a college athlete, coach when I was growing up. So I was one of those kids like holding footballs when you're like 3 years old, trying to just following behind my dad, doing that stuff. My brother was a collegiate athlete, so just really in my blood, I suppose, to do this. Fell in love with volleyball. So volleyball was my main sport. I also did track and cross country in high school. Those were really great, but I enjoyed the teaminess, I guess, for lack of a better word, of volleyball. I enjoyed. I was just kind of built for it, I think. The kind of leadership that's involved with it, but also like the need to have precision in communication, have precision and execution. So all that stuff really fits my personality, and went on to play at University of Wisconsin. It was awesome. I think played for one of the best coaches that has coached the sport. He just retired this year from the University of Nebraska. So yeah, it's really just been sports has been the thing for me, and I don't believe that I'd be the person that I am today without having played sports.
Take our listeners back to, say, those early days,
Mhm.
junior high, going into high school. I'm guessing, you were, probably active and athletic as a kid and, just, gravitated to sports. Were you, say, in junior high, were you going out for the team, or were the coaches, they saw you in the PE class and said,
Mhm.
hey, Don, you're going out for sports, or was it both?
Yes, it was definitely the PE teacher saying, which I appreciate on this side of the world, right? We would love for our PE teachers to do that more. Like, please let our coaches know when you find that kid who is abnormal in some way, right? So abnormally fast, abnormally tall, like, please let us know. So I was that. I was abnormally tall for my age. And I would say abnormally athletic for my age, but didn't really have a focus with it. I didn't play club. I didn't do age group sports. I didn't do all the youth sports that kids are doing now. So I needed somebody to tell me that you can be good at this thing, because I didn't know it on my own. So having those middle school coaches recommend me, and I believe that our high school track coach was actually a middle school teacher, from what I remember. So he was really the one who was like, "You should do this thing." I hadn't really thought about it until he mentioned it to me.
So let's go down that road because I was a football, basketball, track guy too.
Mhm.
So you're tall. So track coaches are going, okay, high jump,
Mhm.
maybe the hurdles.
Mhm.
Were those? Have I done a good job of scouting you?
Yes, so they recommended those things, and I was not good at high jump, but I was good at long jump and triple jump. I was afraid of the hurdles, so I was not a great candidate for hurdles, but I was tough-minded, so I ran the 400, things like that. I didn't mind running the 800, ran cross country. But yes, you're right on for what they told me to get me there, but we had to quickly pivot. I'll put it that way.
Well, and again, that's the great thing about track and field is that there's so many different disciplines that,
Exactly.
for someone who's athletic, or as you mentioned, somebody's a hard worker, you can give them those basic techniques and see where they
Yes.
go. Let's go and jump ahead. Obviously, you played D1, so obviously you had some success. You showed some skills level at the high school level. What's a memory you have of your high school years, either practice or game, just something
Mhm.
that really sticks out for you as being kind of a significant moment?
I'd say there's two. So one was my coach. He was amazing, just a great guy. Really knew how to connect with each athlete. So I think each of us differently probably have different significant memories about him because he was just really good at connecting with the athletes. So I would say that's a big one because I moved high schools between my sophomore and junior year. So obviously that was not ideal for me in terms of like just being a crazy teenager. Um, but he was awesome, like just really empathetic and good guy, tough guy, like made you work hard and all that. But still really was a connector. Like I would say, that's what I took from him as a coach for years is how to connect with each individual student in the way that's impactful to them. So I would say him, and then a silly story, but something that I remember still. And again, it's a way that he was a good connector. Um, our thing with this high school team was always to be alert, like always, because that's volleyball. Like you never know what's going to happen. You're not always in control of how you receive the ball, so it's really important to be like mindful and paying attention to what's going on. So that was what he called us, was alert. So be alert. So he called us alerts. So that was like our cheer, like alerts. So yes, be alert and a really, really great high school coach.
Well, I love those phrases again, and coaches have a million of them, but that's what resonated with you. Let's go and talk college. Now,
Yeah.
these are my words, not yours. When you
Mhm.
came in as a freshman, were you the hotshot freshman that people were going, "Oh wow, we got Don Williamson on our team," or was it a struggle? Were you scrapping to make that varsity team as a freshman?
It was a struggle. So I was a recruited walk-on. So I didn't have a scholarship when I got to University of Wisconsin. But again, worked hard, willing to do whatever, and was very transparent with that. Like, if you want me to play a different position, fine. Whatever you want me to do, I just really want to play volleyball. And I think I was lucky. Like I said, I was recruited to be there. But lucky that they invested because every coaching staff doesn't invest in their walk-ons. And I was very lucky to have a coach that invested. And if I wanted to come in early, they would be there early. If I wanted to stay late, they would stay there late. And worked myself into a starting position, worked myself into a scholarship. Like it was really awesome. But only because there were people who were willing to give their time to get me where I needed to be at that level.
Oh, I love that. Nowadays, you see on ESPN when the walk-on gets
Hmm.
that notification that
Right.
they turned into a big media event, which is cool.
It is.
What are your memories of that moment when you found out you got the scholarship?
It was just at the end of the season, one-on-one. So I'm in the office with the coach. And you're doing the, well, how do you think things went? And I'm telling him. And again, I'm selling myself because I'm thinking, I hope that he just wants me on the team,
Right.
And he said, I think you did a great job and wanted to let you know that we've got a scholarship available for you. So, I'm through the moon, just couldn't believe that this is even a possibility because I'm walking in like with my list of things of why they need me. Like, please keep me on the team.
Right.
These are the things that I'm bringing to the table, and he's like, yeah, we know that. And that's why we're giving you the scholarship. So it was really awesome.
Oh, so you didn't have to sell him too hard.
Yeah.
He's ready
He
to
was
close the
sold.
deal. You
Yeah.
still want to negotiate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love hearing those stories. Let's go and take our first break. For our listeners,
Okay.
our guest is a return guest, Dawn Williamson. She is a certified athletic administrator, also a registered middle school athletic administrator, and she's the director of athletics for the Rockford, Illinois public school system. Let's take that break, but we're coming back with more. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We want to say thanks to our good friends at Snap Mobile for their support. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. We use Snap at our school with great success. Our coaches, our parents loved it. I'm telling you, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out all of their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to thank our friends at Gipper. Go to Gipper.com, and their team is going to have you creating world-class social media content in seconds. And it's so easy, even I can do it. Whether it's a simple social media post to celebrate a victory or an entire newsletter that's going to share all the great things your department is doing in the community, the team at Gipper is going to take good care of you. They're used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college programs. Go to Gipper.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, but go to Gipper.com. You're going to be very glad you did.
And I just want to let you know, Jake, that we use SNAP in RPS 205. So we've got 4 high schools, 9 middle schools that use it, and it's been really awesome.
You know, I'm curious, as a district AD, um, do your schools do they utilize it, I guess, in the same way, or do they have different ways of doing it at each individual school?
Yes, I think that we've got some, especially at the high school level, some that are much more like in depth with it and really trying to uh, personalize it for their school a little bit more. So all of them use it for registration and keeping track of, physicals and things like that. Um, but you can like put pictures, there's a lot of stuff that you can do with Snap that's really awesome. But I will say the biggest impact has been at the middle school level, is almost like training our families to use SNAP so that when they get to high school, they know how to use it. So that's really been invaluable. Our numbers have really grown at the middle school level. So not having SNAP, which we didn't have it at middle school before I started, has really made life a little bit easier for our part-time middle school ADs to be able to have that.
Oh no, and that's such a great point, particularly in a district where even if you're an AD just at a single school, but you have
Mhm,
that feeder middle school. I love your word because it's so true. Training
mhm,
the
mhm.
parents on how to use it. Thanks for sharing. We're going to let
Of course.
our friends at Snap know all that. For our listeners, our guest is a return guest, Dawn Williamson. She's the director of athletics for the Rockford Public School athletic program. Dawn, you took us up through your collegiate days at Wisconsin. Now, you've had quite a journey from
Mhm.
your college days to your current position. Can you take our listeners on that journey, some of the stops that you made in your career?
Yes. So right after college, I very much thought I wanted to get right into administration, but I took an internship at Princeton University, and it was coaching and administration. So it was like fundraising and events on the administration side, and then coaching volleyball, men's and women's volleyball. And when I coached, like I fell in love with it. I was like, this is the thing that God put me on earth for. Like I loved it. It was awesome. Even just watching people warm up, just all of this stuff, anything involved with it, I just absolutely loved. I can go and watch another sport. I don't even know the sport, but I can learn stuff from how they prepare their students and all that. So I just loved it. So from there, my first collegiate coaching job was at University of Rochester. And I feel like the story of my life is like connections. So the athletic director at University of Rochester was an assistant athletic director at Princeton. So I guess all of us know like not burning bridges and making great connections with people, but that's been a lot of my life. So when I applied, of course, that AD just reached out to my old boss, the volleyball coach, and of course he said, "Yeah, you should definitely hire Dawn." So I ended up at Rochester, was there for 4 years, and then went to Scholastic. I've got my PE cert, so I was a PE teacher down there, and they required us to coach all 3 seasons there. So I did volleyball, but also eighth grade soccer, also did track, so it's one of those deals. So yeah, that was that. Then came up, and then I did college for a long time. I did college volleyball for 12 years. 12 years, women's volleyball, and then I went into the administration side, but on the rec side. So I was an intramurals director at a college for a while. So all of that led me into being here at RPS 205 and kind of guiding the ship here. The big goal from my interview to today was growing our sports at the middle school level, really putting supports there to grow it there so that we've got a really talented pool for our high school teams to pull from.
We're going to dive into all things Rockford in our next segment, but you mentioned a concept that I think is important for, well, all ADs, but particularly younger ADs, along the idea of networking and building your network. And I heard somebody say it in a different way the other day. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. And as you've gone in on your journey, how can you give another example of how that aspect has helped you, get that next job?
Well, I would say this one really was one of those, and I know that we're going to talk about Rockford, but what I have found is the world is so small. Like the people who I know, really in a different context than athletics or even school or anything, um, know people who work in our school district in a different aspect. And then my name comes up, and I guess the good part about it is it's not in relation to what I do is just how I am, right? So I'm going to be a person with integrity, or, I'm going to be honest, like things like that. So it kind of supplants the job. And I have another example from when I was coaching. So this is years ago now. I haven't coached since 2018. But I was recruiting. This is when I was in college. I was recruiting a common student with another school. Um, and luckily enough, I did it well, so that I didn't get the student, but my colleague did. But because of how positive the student was, my colleague had such good things to say about me, because I knew that we were recruiting this same girl, and I made sure that we did everything with honor and we did everything above board, so that the student can have a good experience. Because obviously, whether it's at college or if it's in middle school or high school, we just want the students to have a great experience and to feel good about what they've done. And I was able to do that with this particular student. And to say that this other coach was appreciative, because every coach isn't that way at the college level.
Mhm.
A lot of times there are coaches who try and bring down another coach to elevate themselves. And I very much was not that coach.
No, again, it's just such another great point, and I don't want to I don't want to get too far ahead into our toolbox, but here's my question. You worked at the college level,
Mhm,
you taught, you were on the front lines, coaching 3 sports and teaching PE in a school setting, administration. What are some common themes that you have either used yourself? For one, you
mhm,
just mentioned integrity, be yourself, or I guess skill set applications that
mhm.
you have either used yourself or you've seen others use that now they are part of your toolbox at
Right.
Rockford.
Well, the biggest one is being interested in other people. I think that coaching in general, athletics is all about people. So if you don't have people skills and care enough to care about what other people are interested in or what they're passionate about, um, I don't know that you can be successful if you don't care about other people. Like our job is all other people. It's other people's kids, it's other people's spouses if they're coaching. Like we have to be those people who actually care and try and facilitate however we can to make sure that other people are getting what they need. So I feel like that's what athletic directors do. You might call it something else, but really we're just facilitating other people accomplishing their goals. Um, so I think knowing that has to be like top of mind. Connecting with people, being organized. I think it's hard. I don't know that there can be a disorganized athletic director. Maybe there can be,
No, not
but
for long.
yeah, I don't think that that's a possibility. So I would say for me, I appreciate that in other people when I see someone who's very, very organized and on top of their stuff, um, willing to admit mistakes when necessary. Like to me, those are the things that give you grace with other people, right? So we can't all be perfect and awesome all the time. We're trying to be great all the time, but sometimes we aren't going to be great. And I think having those qualities gives you grace with people when you aren't, when maybe you fall a little bit short.
Right. Oh no, absolutely. I think you just gave about eight or nine of our top 20 tools there. So again, that's great. I'm curious to see what your three are going to be. But um, you bring up another great point about the role, the life, as one of our friends, Scott Jarvis says, the DNA of an
Hmm.
athletic director. I
Yep.
think we are people that end up as ADs. I think we're wired to be problem solvers,
Hmm.
solution finders, and wrapped up within that, the good ADs, the better
Hmm.
ADs understand that it is about relationships and collaboration and getting everybody involved. Boy, what a great uh, thank you so much for sharing that. That was so
Hmm.
cool. Let's go and take another break.
Yep.
Once again, we're visiting with Dawn Williamson. She's a certified athletic administrator, athletic director for the Rockford, Illinois public school system. We're going to take a deep dive into all things Rockford in our next segment. So please stay with us. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to our good friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results, communication. For me, the athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is the best. You really got to see it to believe it. Go to homecampus.com to find out all the great things they can do. And even if your state has another platform for scheduling and results, again, the athletic clearance platform, the home campus people can make it work for you at your school. Go to homecampus.com for more information. We also want to say thank you to our good friends at Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made as an athletic director was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, and they can help get you started. Sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thank you to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and find out how to turn your school into a Huddle school. That's huddle.com.
Okay, okay. Yeah, Jake, our high schools use Huddle. We use it, of course, for film exchange and film watching for the teams and everything. But what's really been awesome is live stream. If I can't make it to a game or something, I can still at least watch the game. So lots of our families rely on our huddle stream. So it's been really awesome.
Again, I've heard more and more schools utilize the streaming aspect,
Mhm.
and there, like everything else, there's a lot of different ways to do it. For
Mhm.
Rockford, do you set up, do the parents, the families, they pay for that, or is that, do they have, is there a free version at your school?
We have them watch commercials, so they don't have to pay for it, but then they have to sit through some short commercials. But we rather that than them have to pay for it.
Right. And again, that's a great way to provide that service, which
Hmm.
let's talk about it. It's a quality service. There's a fee
Hmm.
for it, but getting some sponsorships for that, and the Huddle folks, I can tell you from experience, they do a great job of helping you put that together.
Exactly.
Thanks for sharing.
Hmm.
Once again, our guest today is Dawn Williamson. She's back for a second time on the podcast, just a little over 2 years after her first time. She is the director of athletics for the Rockford, Illinois public school system. Pretty big school system. When we first visited with Dawn, by memory, I think you'd been on the job for a few months. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, Share a little bit about the scope of Rockford Public Schools so people understand, what you're in charge of. And then I'm curious, uh, what are some of the things that you're particularly proud of as far as new initiatives? And what are some things that, Rockford's done forever because they're great things? So,
Hmm.
tell us a little bit about Rockford first.
Okay, yes. So RPS 205 is the third largest school district in Illinois. We have about 29,000 students, about 6,000 employees. Athletics alone, and I just did kind of a deep dive into this, about 800 coaches between the elementary, middle, and high school level. So we've got a lot of people here. Um, so one of the things that I am excited about that we are currently doing and also kind of in the horizon is working with our coaches. So I don't know if any of your listeners or if you know about this group called Project Play. So Project Play is an organization that tries to connect school-based athletics, like travel sports, government, park district, could be Boys and Girls Club, like all of these things. So their idea is that all of us have some things in common. Like, of course, we're all a little bit different and we all have kind of different focuses, but all of us are working with coaches, all of us are working with kids, and where are our overlaps? So one of the things that Project Play is really working on is training coaches, and this fit right into my wheelhouse because that's where I've been here with Rockford. Is like I said, we've got 800 coaches. How do we train these people so that everyone understands what our expectations are, how you're supposed to arrive, how you're supposed to be as a coach if you're going to be an RPS 205 coach? Some of our coaches at elementary are volunteer. Like they're just there because their kid wanted to play basketball and the school couldn't find a coach. So how do we help that coach? All the way to the varsity head coach who's been doing it for 20 years. How do we make sure everyone understands what Rockford wants for them? So we had started with PCA, Positive Coaches of the Alliance, which was awesome. Like they came and did a lot of workshops for us. But again, our scale is just so big. We weren't hitting enough of our people. So we've done a few things with our coaches. One is we're going to all of us have, I'm sure every school district in the country has to take these like online classes at the beginning of the year, like bloodborne diseases and all that stuff, right? So in order to be, so we're creating one of those, which I know everyone's thinking, no one likes taking those classes, Donna. I completely understand, but there's still not a way for me to get everybody. This was a way that I could kind of get everyone going. And then two, we've partnered up with our middle school and high school coaches, and we're doing coaches clinics there so that our middle school coaches learn how to coach, not even specific to their sport, just how do you put a practice plan together? How do you make sure you've got all eyes on you when you're talking so that students are receiving their information? Just kind of like general coaching stuff. And then we've also initiated the self-assessment of our high school coaches about their program. So we're kind of hitting it very, very broad-based at first, and then we're kind of needling it down to the little stuff with the self-assessments with the coaches. So that's something I'm really excited about is this coach training. I was a coach for a long time. I think it's an amazing job. I think it's a hard job. And I think it's a job that we assume people know how to do without telling them how to do it. So I think from my office, I've got to do a better job of making sure that we're telling people what we expect from them. I know that was a lot.
No,
So
no, and again, I appreciate you sharing that because I've said this many times. I think professional development for coaches and for ADs. I think it's something that athletic directors really enjoy doing and providing, but it's also one of those things that it can be challenging because of, as you mentioned, the number of coaches, they're spread out. This person's a volunteer, obviously, funding and things like that. So it's great to hear you're doing all of those things. That's fantastic.
yeah, it's
Um,
exciting.
and you already talked earlier about, training your middle school athletic directors, in professional development. That is just so cool to hear. Um, what are some things that you've looked at now for 2 years and you're thinking, hey, we do a really good job with this, but I think we can do better. Is there anything, and again, this is my term, anything in your crosshairs that, you're planning maybe for the future?
Yes. So again, I think some staff is like district office things. Not that the building AD shouldn't do it, but they're busy. Like I don't have students coming in my office all the time. I don't have to set up for the game tonight. So there's some stuff I think that is helpful that I can do. So one of the things that, as you say, in my crosshairs is educating our community about sports and how it can help the district meet its goals, whether it's attendance goals, whether they're academic goals, whether they're graduation goals. Athletics should be seen as a partner in helping the district meet those goals. So that's really like a big thing that I'm focused on right now because I've never been a place, and I can't imagine that there's a place where everyone's on board, where everyone says, you know what, sports is amazing. I totally understand why we're spending so much money on sports.
Yeah,
You
those
know,
coaches, they're doing a wonderful job. Yeah.
I, give them more money. This is amazing. So I think it's everyone's job to kind of justify our existence. Not that it's not like it stands alone, right? Athletics, you don't have to sell it, but I think we should. Like, I think we should make sure that our coaches know what to say when people ask them, like, why should a kid play sports? Have an answer for that. Why should a kid do that? I actually asked a middle school AD a couple years ago, and this was the beginning of the end for this poor AD, I hate to say. Why are sports important? And quite honestly, the person had no idea. Like it was just kind of silence. So partly we've got to be able to educate our community, right? Educate our folks who are on board with sports, but also educate our folks who don't understand. Even if you don't love sports, you should love the outcomes that they're going to provide. And I think that that's part of my job, right, is to make sure that folks understand that this is going to help this kid in life. This is going to help this kid graduate. This is going to help this kid get better grades. This is going to help this kid come to school every day. And because of all those things, we should all be super excited about sports.
Well, I can't take credit for this. A good friend of mine shared this little nugget when he is meeting with community members, potential donors, sponsors, even board members.
Mhm.
He'll ask the question, "How many of you played sports back in the day?" Almost all the hands go up. There's a few that don't, but almost all of them do. Then he'll ask, how much of your, how much of an impact, how important was your sports participation on your success moving on to college, even if you didn't play sports,
Mhm.
as a business owner, entrepreneur, as a mother, father, leader. Um, how much of an impact did your sports experience have? And invariably, it's like, 90%,
Mhm.
80%, it had a huge impact. And so now here's where he's already set the hook. This is where he reels them in. Okay. What percentage of our school district budget goes toward athletics? Okay. I'm telling you, and you know this, it's not
Mhm.
90%. So, yes, absolutely. Coaches,
Mhm.
ADs, teachers, people
Right.
like you and me, we got to keep beating that drum and
Yep.
helping people see what they already know in their heart, that the
Mhm.
athletic experience does have value. Okay. So
Exactly.
there's a free extra toolbox tool.
Oh, I like that one.
Okay. Um, let's go and take another break. But before we do, Don, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, and listeners, you got a tremendous resource here. What's the best way that they can get a hold of Don Williamson and add you to their network?
Mhm. First, I would say please do. I love talking to people about sports and all of that. LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn. Obviously, you could just Google Don Williamson, Rockford Public Schools, and then all of the contact stuff comes up. But please don't hesitate. Like, I love having these conversations.
Okay. And Don's information is also on the NIAAA member portal for all of our NIAAA listeners. Let's take that break. I know that's shocking to our regular listeners, but we're coming back with more with Don Williamson. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We'd like to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's at Ohio, but my assistant athletic director did, along with thousands of others, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're completing your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. To find out more, just go to the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. Don't forget to mention the podcast. Check out all the ways that they can add to your professional growth. We'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. You put one of their units in your gym lobby, in your main school hallway, it's going to become a magnet for kids, for coaches, even for teachers, parents. How about sponsors and alums? You got to see it to believe it. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, vitalsignswalloffame.com. And we want to thank our good friends at Hometown. Hometown is changing the game for schools and organizations with their suite of solutions that includes, big surprise, digital ticketing, but they're also into fee-free fundraising, athletic website construction, and a whole lot more. Whether you're athletic director, a coach, a principal, or school administrator, Hometown makes it easy for you to save time, raise more money, and bring your entire community together. That's hometown.com. Visit them today and don't forget to mention the podcast, hometown.com. Welcome back, everybody, to the Educational AD. Um, Don, the last time we were on, again, you had just been on the job at Rockford for a couple years. I think you had already completed the RMSAA, the Registered Middle School Athletic Administrator, but now 2 years later, you've got your CAA. And I like to stress to our listeners that doesn't happen by accident. Can you share a little bit about your journey with your state association? I know Illinois does a great job, the IADA, and also your journey with the NIAAA.
Yeah, so I am what I would call a professional development dork. Like I love it. Like I love all things professional development. So that was like the first thing I did was figure out the state associations and all that stuff. Illinois is awesome because we've got a dual membership. So our IADA membership also gives us an IAAA membership. So that's really awesome. I have, well, I'll start with the state association. They do a really great convention every year, conference every year. It's in May, over a couple days. Lots of people come in for it, but it's all our people doing the session. So it's really nice to hear our Illinois folks who are doing really awesome things. We've had a couple of our local RPS, Rockford Public Schools, athletic directors go down there and present. So it's been great. For me, it's just really nice to connect with other folks. It's interesting because Illinois is just it's either like Rockford or Chicago or Aurora that are really big cities, or it's very, very, very small cities. So it's interesting to hear the differences that different schools are struggling with or having success with. And it's really all based on just the makeup of our cities and the makeup of our schools. So it's really interesting to hear because it's easy for me to get really kind of focused on RPS 205. But there's some smaller districts that are struggling in things that we aren't, or having success in things we are. So it's really great to bounce ideas off of each other. NIAAA, I can't say enough about it. I went to my first convention this year. It was awesome. It was really great. And it's also nice that they have like the spouse one too, because my husband was able to go, so we could hang out. So that was good. The classes, of course, are amazing. I took a couple classes while I was down there, so that part is great. And just the keynotes, and my husband would agree, like it isn't weren't necessarily specific to sports. It was just kind of people and how do we get better as people? How do we lead people better? Not even just athletically. My husband's an assistant principal, so he really enjoyed being able to go to those. Everything about the NIAAA I think is awesome, and like I said, I think that our IADA is really great. There's a lot of people in our state who are giving up a lot of their time to put some structures in place for that.
Oh, wow, great shout outs for both the state and the national organization. Um, Take our listeners through your LTI journey. I
Mhm.
know you had to take the two middle school courses
Mhm.
to get your registered middle school athletic administrator certificate, but
Mhm.
the additional courses, I guess probably the legal courses for the
Yes.
CAA. What are some of
hmm
your memories of taking those courses?
well, I'm sure everyone has the same response to the legal courses, which is to freak out and say, I've got to tighten some things up when I get back home. But so that's what I thought when I took that class. Um, I recently at the NIAAA took the turf class, which
Okay.
was awesome. Like I was so excited about it. I think I went a whole day earlier than I had even planned on, just so that I could go to this class. I was really excited about it because our stadiums are coming up on needing new turf, and I needed some information. So those are awesome. That one was great. I think the curb appeal one, those
Oh
ones
yeah.
were really good for me. I think that kind of along the lines of where I was talking about educating our community and everything, a lot of times, especially if schools, like not even athletically, are struggling connecting with parents, those parents are still coming to their kids' game. So being able to have a place that looks welcoming and all that, even if that's the only place that they're coming with, because we're an urban school district, so we do struggle with attendance in our school district. We struggle with just all sorts of things, right? So sometimes it's hard for our administrators to get families on campus. Like, we just need to talk to you about your kid. But that same mom or that same dad or that same guardian will be at the game. And that's a way for them to feel like this place is for them. Even if the school building may not feel like it's for them, this athletic space can feel like it's for them. So that's really important for us. A lot of times, even if the kid's not struggling, um, this is the only time people are on campus. Maybe grandma doesn't come to all the stuff that's going on at school. She maybe can't do some of the grandma-based things that we have, but she's still going to come to her grandkids' game, or aunts and uncles and all the people who. This is the only time they're going to see our school. So we want our athletic spaces to look awesome and to look sharp when people are coming.
Yeah. You mentioned,
Very true.
parents and working with parents. If you haven't taken it, and this is for the listeners too, the LTI 716,
Mhm.
partnering with parents is a great course. And yours truly was part of that authorship team a few years ago.
Awesome.
Love teaching that class. Partnering with
Mhm.
parents. Add that to your list
Okay, I'm
for
putting it on there.
Tampa. So yeah, we're gonna have to get you down to the national conference in Tampa, my state.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, we'll show you a good time in Florida. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, Don, this has been so cool, reconnecting with you,
Mhm.
hearing about all the great things that you're doing with Rockford, but we're not done yet. As you know, we always wrap up with the athletic director's toolbox, and our listeners can see that you certainly know your way around the world of athletics. We're going to take our final break, listen to athletic surveys who sponsor this particular segment. When we come back, I'm going to challenge you again to send out a brand new athletic director on their very first job, but I'm only going to let you put 3 items in the toolbox. So let's take that break. And when we come back, we're going to see what Don Williamson puts in her new athletic director toolbox. We also want to say thank you to Athletic Surveys for sponsoring the AD Toolbox segment. At my schools, we use surveys for just about everything for students, for teachers, for coaches, and for parents. And here's the cool thing, the information that comes back on our surveys is almost always over the top positive, and it'll be the same for you too. The surveys also allow us to connect with, and a lot of times, the people we're already hearing from, those squeaky wheels that just want to complain about everything. But it gives us a chance to hear their concerns, usually address them, and keep them from turning into something big. But going back to that positive feedback, a lot of times 95, 98%, having that data in your hands is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with one of those frustrated parents, or sometimes your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey for your school, for your district, that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Don't forget to mention the podcast, athleticsurveys.com. Well, it's that time of the podcast. We've been visiting, actually, we've been revisiting with a good friend, Dawn Williamson. She's the director of athletics for the Rockford Public School System. That's Rockford, Illinois. Tremendous background in athletics. As we mentioned, she's a certified athletic administrator. She's a registered middle school athletic administrator. But right now, I'm going to challenge her to send out a brand new athletic director on their first job, but I'm only going to let her put 3 items in the toolbox. So, Don, for round two, what 3 tools are going to go into your new athletic director toolbox?
Okay, I'm excited. Well, I already said that I'm a professional development dork, so it shouldn't be surprising that get professional development. Like, go to everything you can. The IAD, our state association, does monthly webinars that I participate in. Some of them are super building specific, but I still love listening because I can always pull something out of what someone else's experience has shown. So professional development is huge. The second thing I'd say is build connections outside of your immediate network. Um, One, it's helpful to hear from non-athletic people sometimes. Like I like talking to people who aren't necessarily super into sports. One, because they kind of sometimes see things differently. Sometimes they are able to um, be a devil's advocate for me when I say, well, what if we tried this thing? What are people going to say? So that I can try and like noodle out things. So getting people outside of your own network is good. Also, word of mouth is such a big thing. So the more people you're connected to, the more people are going to say, this person is awesome. So you want as many people as possible to say that you're awesome. So get connected with lots of people. And then I say the third thing, and I talked about this today as well, be prepared to sell why kids should play sports and have different answers for depending on who you're talking to. If you're talking to parents, have an answer why your kids should play sports. If you're talking to the school board, have an answer why our kids should play sports. If you're talking to a principal, have these answers that will appeal to whatever it is that they are interested in. You can connect sports to them. So those are my three things.
Well, I was writing them all down. I love them, and consistent with all the things that you shared today. That why, not just your why, but why athletics, why sports is important.
Mhm.
That's like just so important. I can't believe that an athletic director wouldn't at least be able to cobble something together when they were asked about that. Um, Don, again, thanks for taking time out of your busy day to share with our athletic directors. All the best moving forward as we're,
Thank you. You
deep
too.
into spring. And one more time, if one of our listeners wants to reach out and add you to their network, what's the best way that they can do that?
Yep, LinkedIn, Google me, of course, Rockford Public Schools, Don Williamson. I'm on an IAAA, so wherever, however you can, get in touch with me. I love talking to people about sports.
Okay. And if you go into the Illinois conference, make sure you connect with Dawn. And in December, we've got a few months to plan for that, but she's going to be
Mhm.
down at the national conference in Tampa. Okay. Dawn, thanks again, and look forward to the next time we have you on the podcast.
Thanks so much.
For listeners, we want to say thanks to you. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices. So come back and join us again for another episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time.